What we're doing is presenting facts about an international agreement that 99% of the world thinks solves a vital problem in a way that will prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. I have not yet heard a factual argument on the other side that holds up to scrutiny. There's a reason why 99% of the world thinks this is a good deal. It's because it's a good deal.
I keep repeating it like 99% of the scientists. This man is as full of it as I don't know what. James Woolsey, former director of the CIA and chairman of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, chairman of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, defenddemocracy.org. Mr. Woolsey, welcome back, sir.
Thanks. Good to be with you.
Always great to talk to you. You know, when you hear him say 99% of the world, and he repeats that, and he's yet to hear a convincing argument on the other side, I guess, among others, he's not listening or reading what you have to say and write.
Well, thank you. I mean, this would be a perfectly reasonable agreement if it were with, say, Denmark. Then, you know, you could trust the other party to do what they said, and what they said would be consistent with the written agreement, and they wouldn't use all kinds of subterfuges to get away from their obligations. But the Iranians never deal straight. They haven't, at least since 1979. And I think that it's when this government came in. And I think it's really naive to think that they're going to act as the Danes would if we were negotiating with the Danes.
All right, let's talk about beyond the Iranian agreement. Let's talk about Iran and North Korea and the threat of an EMP attack. An EMP attack, the result of which could be our grid system goes down, and I've heard estimates saying, you know, depending on how long it would last, 9 out of every 10 Americans could die. I mean, this is what we really need to be talking about in this country. I take every opportunity I have to get people like you on to do it, who are willing to do it and know what they're talking about, but not many people are.
Well, it's a very unpleasant subject. I wish it weren't true, but I'm afraid it is. That you can create a solar radio highly charged wave, not only by sitting and waiting for the sun to generate it, but by generating it with a small, even nuclear detonation on a satellite in low Earth orbit. And that's easy to do, because as soon as you have a nuclear weapon, even one just the size of what we dropped on Hiroshima, 10, 15 kilotons, and you detonate it when it's in a satellite on orbit, and it's easy to get something into a satellite on orbit. Orbiting a satellite's the first thing the Russians did, Sputnik, first thing we did. You don't have to have accuracy, you don't have to be re-entering, you're not shooting at a target on the other side of the Earth. You're just going to detonate something in a satellite as it passes over, say, the United States. You do that, and the two different types of radio waves that are generated will, from an altitude of 50 kilometers, even several hundred kilometers, knock out essentially the electric grids within a huge area. And that will have the effect of knocking out the ability to function of the 17 other infrastructures in the United States that depend on electricity, those being food, water, medical,
everything we need to survive,
telecommunications, everything.
Yep.
And as a result, in a year or so, according to the Congressional Electromagnetic Pulse Commission that stepped down in 2011, I think, but wrote some very sound and reports by extremely highly qualified scientists and engineers, as a result of knocking out those other infrastructures or the supply of power to them for a year, which is entirely plausible because you destroy the transformers by doing this, you could have something between 2/3 and 90% of the American population, again, according to the commission, die as a result of starvation, lack of water,
well,
social
this is
disruption.
I applaud
etc.
you, Mr. Woolsey, for this. I really do. And I want to have you back next week. I want to talk more about this. I want to talk about what we could do, what the threat actually is, who the players would be. I want to go in depth with this if you'd be so kind as to come back next week. In the time I have remaining, you have any thoughts on the parole of Jonathan Pollard, which was announced today for November?
Yes, I think it's long past time. When we have spies from enemies like Russia and China, and they've gotten American spies killed, as has happened in those cases, they may get sentenced to life. But spies for friendly countries such as South Korea, Philippines, Greece, typically spend 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 or 8 years in prison. Pollard's been there for 30. I opposed his release when he'd only been there for 5 or 6 years.
But the time has come.
Central Intelligence. But now,
yeah.
I don't know why in the world one would say that you only keep a Greek-American spy for 6 years, but you keep Pollard.
Mr. Woolsey, got to go. Thank you so much. We're coming back, folks. Don't go away.